Since the dawn of humanity, we have stared up at the stars and asked the biggest questions of all. Where did we come from? Why are we here? And perhaps the most persistent, most profound question of them all, what happens to us when we die? It is a universal mystery, a final frontier that every single one of us must face. This question has driven us to build monuments, write scriptures, and develop profound systems of belief. It connects us across cultures and across time, this shared human need to find meaning in the face of our own mortality, to find hope in the shadow of the unknown. For millennia, religions and philosophies have offered answers to this ultimate question. They provide comfort, a sense of purpose, and a framework for understanding our place in the cosmos. Among the countless responses that have emerged from the human spirit, two powerful ideas have captivated billions of people throughout history. These are the concepts of resurrection and reincarnation. They are two very different paths, two distinct visions of what awaits us after our last breath. Yet, both attempt to solve the same puzzle and suggest that this life, the one we are living right now, holds a significance that echoes into whatever comes next. Resurrection speaks of a singular, miraculous event. It is the belief that after death, our body, perhaps a glorified version of it, will be brought back to life to exist forever. It is a one-time affair, often tied to a final judgment at the end of time. This idea promises a reunion, a restoration of self in a perfected form. It suggests a linear journey. We are born, we live, we die, and then we wait for a grand, divine intervention that will usher us into an eternal existence. This is a story of ultimate redemption and finality, a single, decisive moment that defines our destiny. On the other hand, reincarnation paints a picture of a continuous cycle. It is the belief that our soul or our consciousness does not die with our body but is instead reborn into a new life. This is not a one-time event but a long, winding journey through many lifetimes in different bodies and perhaps even as different forms of life. This path is not linear but circular, a continuous process of learning, evolving, and working through the consequences of our past actions. It's a story of endless chances, of a soul slowly making its way toward an ultimate state of liberation or enlightenment, one life at a time. The concept of resurrection is a cornerstone of the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. While the details may differ, the core belief is the same. At some point in the future, God will raise the dead. This is not about the soul moving to another body. It is about the restoration of the individual, body and soul, to face judgment and enter into a new everlasting existence. It is a powerful promise of justice and continuity, suggesting that our identity is unique and precious, so much so that it will be preserved beyond the grave. This belief has shaped civilizations, offering a profound sense of hope and a moral compass. In Judaism, the idea of resurrection developed over time, becoming a central tenet for many. Ancient scriptures hint at it, but it became more explicit in later texts, like the Book of Daniel. The belief centers on a future messianic age, when the righteous of Israel will be brought back to life to live in a perfected world. It is a collective national redemption as much as it is a personal one. The emphasis is on the physical body being restored, reaffirming the goodness of the physical world that God created. It is a testament to God's power over life and death, and a fulfillment of his covenant with his people. Christianity places the resurrection of one man, Jesus Christ, at the very heart of its faith. For Christians, his rising from the dead is not just a miracle, it is the ultimate proof of his divinity, and the guarantee of resurrection for all believers. The Apostle Paul wrote extensively about this, explaining that just as Christ was raised, so too will his followers be raised with new incorruptible bodies on Judgment Day. This is not just a future hope, but a present reality that transforms a believer's life, offering freedom from the fear of death and the promise of eternal communion with God. In Islam, the resurrection, known as Yawm al-Qiyamah, or the Day of Resurrection, is a fundamental article of faith. The Quran speaks vividly of a final day when the world will end, the dead will be raised from their graves, and every person will stand before Allah to be judged for their deeds. Every action, every intention is recorded in a book that will be presented on that day. Those who have lived righteously will be rewarded with an eternal life in paradise, Jannah, while those who have not will face punishment. This belief underscores the immense importance of personal accountability and moral responsibility during one's life on earth. Across the world, particularly in the East, a different answer to the great question of death took hold. This is the idea of reincarnation, a central doctrine in major religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Here, death is not an end but a transition. The soul or the stream of consciousness leaves the deceased body and is reborn into a new one. This cycle of death and rebirth is known as samsara. It is a vast cosmic journey that can span countless lifetimes, offering endless opportunities for the soul to learn, grow, and evolve. It is a worldview that sees life as an ongoing school for the spirit. In Hinduism, the concept of reincarnation is intricately linked to karma. Every action, thought, and word we generate in this life creates karmic energy that determines the circumstances of our next life. If you live a virtuous life, you may be reborn into a better situation. If you lead a life of negativity and harm, your next life could be one of suffering. The ultimate goal is to break free from this cycle of samsara altogether. This liberation, called moksha, is achieved when the individual soul, or Atman, realizes its true nature and reunites with the ultimate reality, Brahman. Buddhism also teaches a form of rebirth, but with a unique twist. Central to Buddhist doctrine is the concept of anatta, or no-self. This means there is no permanent, unchanging soul that transmigrates from one life to the next. Instead, what is reborn is a bundle of energies, habits, and karmic tendencies, a stream of consciousness that carries the imprints of past actions. The goal, much like in Hinduism, is to escape the cycle of suffering and rebirth. This is achieved by extinguishing desire and ignorance, leading to nirvana, a state of complete peace, liberation, and the end of the cycle. Jainism presents one of the most rigorous views of reincarnation. Jains believe that every living thing, from humans to animals to plants and even microscopic organisms, possesses a soul, or jiva. These souls are trapped in the cycle of samsara due to the accumulation of karma, which Jains view as a subtle form of matter that clings to the soul. The path to liberation involves purifying the soul by practicing strict non-violence, ahimsa, non-attachment, and other austerities. The ultimate goal is to cleanse the soul of all karmic particles, allowing it to float free from the cycle of rebirth and reside in a state of eternal bliss at the top of the universe. These beliefs about the afterlife are not just abstract theological ideas, they have a profound and practical impact on how people live their lives every day. They provide a moral framework, a sense of identity, and a way to make sense of the world's injustices and suffering. If you believe in a final resurrection and judgment, your actions in this life take on an eternal weight. Every choice is seen through the lens of divine accountability. This can inspire great acts of charity, compassion, and justice as believers strive to live in accordance with God's will to secure a favorable outcome in the hereafter. This sense of a single, precious life can foster a powerful sense of individual identity and purpose. Your life is your one chance to get it right. This perspective can give people strength in the face of suffering, viewing it as a test of faith that will be rewarded in the next life. It provides a cosmic sense of justice, suggesting that even if worldly justice fails, a divine reckoning will ultimately balance the scales. For many, this is a source of immense comfort, the belief that good will ultimately triumph, and that every person's life has a unique and unrepeatable meaning in the grand divine plan. On the other hand, a belief in reincarnation shapes life in a different way. It encourages a long-term perspective on personal growth and responsibility. The law of karma suggests that you are the architect of your own destiny, not just in this life but across many. This can instill a deep sense of personal accountability, as every action is understood to have consequences that will eventually return to you. It can also foster a profound sense of empathy for all living beings, as the person or animal before you could have been a loved one in a past life, or you could be reborn as them in a future one. This cyclical view of life can also offer a different way to understand suffering. Instead of a test from God, suffering is often seen as the result of negative actions in a past life. This is not meant to be a fatalistic view, but a motivational one. If past actions created present suffering, then present actions can create future happiness and eventual liberation. It reframes life's challenges as opportunities for spiritual progress. The goal is not to earn a reward in a paradise, but to purify the self over eons, slowly but surely moving toward a state of ultimate freedom from suffering itself. In our modern, globalized world, these ancient ideas are no longer confined to their traditional homelands. The lines have begun to blur. We see people in the West exploring Eastern philosophies, blending Christian beliefs with concepts like karma or rebirth. Some might believe in a single resurrection but also feel that the soul learns and grows through experiences that feel like karmic lessons. This mixing of ideas reflects a contemporary spiritual quest, a desire to draw wisdom from multiple traditions, to construct a personal belief system that resonates with a modern understanding of the world. From a scientific and skeptical standpoint, of course, there is no empirical evidence for either resurrection or reincarnation. Science understands death as the irreversible cessation of biological functions, the end of consciousness as the brain ceases to operate. Claims of past life memories are often attributed to psychological phenomena like cryptomnesia, forgotten memories, or suggestion. The scientific method relies on what can be observed, tested, and repeated, and the afterlife, by its very nature, lies beyond that reach. For skeptics, these beliefs are powerful human constructs, born from our fear of oblivion and our deep-seated need for meaning and justice. So, we are left with a fascinating contrast. Resurrection proposes a linear journey, one life, one death, one final judgment leading to an eternal state. It emphasizes a unique individual self that is restored by a divine power. Reincarnation proposes a circular journey, many lives, many deaths, a long cycle of learning governed by the impersonal law of karma. It emphasizes a transient self that evolves over time, ultimately seeking to merge with a greater reality or find a state of release. One is a story of divine intervention and redemption, the other is a story of self-purification and liberation. In the end, despite their profound differences, both resurrection and reincarnation spring from the same deep well of human hope. They are powerful, enduring answers to the mystery that unites us all. Both frameworks tell us that our existence is not a meaningless accident. They insist that how we live matters, that our choices have consequences that ripple out beyond our brief time on this planet. Whether we believe our journey ends in a final glorious return or continues in an endless winding cycle, both paths challenge us to live with purpose, compassion, and a sense of responsibility for the mark we leave on the world.